Welcome, welcome. It's the most wonderful time of the year, but not for everyone. The holidays can be very painful because as friends and family gather, it becomes very obvious that there is an empty chair. If you're one of those people that has been impacted by loss, this video will help you. Today, I will share 2 things that will help you navigate grief. Let's get started. I am Dr. Tracy Dickens, a licensed psychologist, and here at Sweet Joyful Soul, I create mental health education videos that are designed to feed you body, mind, and soul. When I was a little girl, I spent my summers and my holidays with my grandmother, who was an amazing cook and baker. She was always cooking for a church gathering or a family gathering or her very hungry grandchildren. One of the things I loved the most that she would make is a cream cheese pound cake. It was divine. And every time I would come to visit her, I'd always ask her, is my cake ready? And she would say yes. So in September of 2005, it was devastating for me to receive the news that my grandmother had suddenly died. I had spoken to her the night before she went to bed. And when I got the news while I was at work, it just didn't seem real. And I remember getting in my car and the pouring of tears that came out of me. And I also remember a year later making the decision it was time to delete her phone number from my phone. It had long since been disconnected and I had never called it since I gotten that phone call. But somehow that phone number in my phone just made me feel so connected. The grief that showed up in 2005 did not leave when I deleted the number. The grief has become my companion. And Dr. David Kessler says, we falsely believe that in times of grief, that the grief will get smaller. The reality is we get bigger. And so how do we get bigger? 1, we understand that grief is a process, and 2, we find meaning. And so today, as I talk about these 2 areas, I'm going to be cooking the veganized version of my grandmother's favorite pound cake. We have all these ingredients here today that I'm going to be using. And these ingredients, they won't be destroyed. They're just going to take on a different form. And when they do, we will relate to them in a different way. Elisabeth Kubler Ross was the first person to give us the stages of grief, which capture the thoughts, behaviors, and feelings that we experience whenever we have a significant loss. We have denial, not believing the person's not here any longer, depression, so that can be sadness, isolation, changes in how we eat and how we sleep. We have anger, just being angry, just feeling consumed by it. We can be angry with God. We can be angry around the circumstances that led to the death of our loved one. There is bargaining, thinking, I wish I would have, why didn't we should have, we could have. Then there's acceptance. And acceptance is not the final destination. It evolves over time as we process the loss and the meaning of the loss for ourselves. I presented each one of these as if they are stages that we go through, but it's not an orderly thing. You can be angry 1 minute and then the next minute be crying and depressed. You can be absolutely have this awareness that the person's not here, but then 30 minutes later, half a day later, you can be in denial that they're not here. There's no one way to grieve. Everyone does it differently, and the time it takes to move through your grief is different for everyone. About a third of people will say that the first year is the most difficult for them. For some, for another third, the second year is the most difficult. And a third say that both years are difficult. What is the same universally is that it does take time, longer than a week, which is usually how we kind of view it in Western culture. We got 1 week to pull it together. It's going to take time, and grief is something that you have with you from the moment you have that loss. You just learn to relate to it differently. If you're finding the information in this video helpful so far, push the like button, and thank you so much for doing that. Finding meaning. David Kessler considers finding meaning the 6th stage of grief. When I'm saying finding meaning, I'm not meaning, oh, they're no longer suffering, or God just needed another angel in heaven. I'm not talking about those cliche statements that we say to ourselves or to someone else whenever they're in pain and suffering after a loss. I'm talking about finding meaning that is unique to you so you can discover how to relate to this person that is now in a different form. And so some ways to do this would be finding gratitude for the time that you had with the loved one. So what are things that you were grateful about that you had with them? What things that you learned from them that you can pass on or that you can still use? Finding ways to commemorate and honor that person or that loved one. You will find buildings and benches and trees and all kinds of ways to commemorate and honor the loss of a person. Sometimes it's setting up a memorial in your backyard or planting a tree or a flower in your yard that you can go to whenever you're thinking about that person. Other ways that we can find meaning in the loss is realizing the brevity and value of life. I've had this happen a lot where somebody says, oh, they had this plan to go on vacation or to start this business and now they're not here. And now I'm thinking, well, I don't want to be like that. So I've had this dream and so I'm going to go ahead and start this dream. Or this was something we were going to do together and we kept putting it off and I'm not putting it off anymore. That's an amazing way to find meaning. Feeling changed by knowing that person. I know for me personally, oh man, there's so many ways that my grandmother impacted me. I remember being a kid and listening to her when she would be getting ready in the morning and she would be singing worship songs and she'd be praying to God and she talked about God all the time. Actually, I got baptized at her church when I was 12 years old one summer. Definitely, I learned a lot of my baking wisdom from my grandmother. And she was just a person that just loved and accepted everyone. And that's something that she taught my mom to do, and that's something that my mom taught me to do, just to love and accept everyone wherever they are on their life journey. When we find those ways that that person has impacted us and ways that we can breathe life into that impact and keep them near and dear to us, that physical distance that we now have with them, it's there, but we find that we grow bigger around that grief because we found ways to stay connected. Some other things that can be helpful for you when finding meaning, being mindful whenever we are thinking over and over again about the moment that we lost the person, especially if it's a tragedy, where we are keeping that person trapped in that moment and we're keeping ourselves trapped in that moment. It's okay to move forward, to release that moment and to recall times that were positive and to think of ways that you can include them in the positive in your future. It's okay and it's necessary to do that. And go easy on yourself. Take it day by day. This is a marathon. This is by no means a sprint. It's going to be a process of finding meaning and daily asking yourself, sometimes not even daily, sometimes it's minute by minute asking yourself, where am I right now? Where are my thoughts? Am I thinking about that traumatic moment or am I right now in the present moment and am I connecting? And if I'm needing to feel connected to them, well, then what can I do to feel connected? Today I made my grandmother's cake in honor of her. Look at this amazing thing. Can't wait to share it with my friends and family. They're gonna be so amazed at how incredibly similar it tastes to my grandmother's pound cake. I mean, it's really kind of spooky and really kind of amazing, and is a testament to her teaching me how to bake and cook and those skills I get to share with you. And so she lives on. Let me know down below what you've done that's been helpful for you or what resonated with you in this video. Like and subscribe. And as always, take care of yourself and others. And have a blessed day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.